guys may have to. Got it.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June town meeting for the town of Upper Marlboro. It is Tuesday, June 8th, 2020. It is 7:04. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Linda Penoyer,
Present.
Commissioner Janice Duckett,
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Franklin,
Here.
and Dave Williams, Town Clerk, all present.
And I have, let's go to David. I misplaced my script for the opening, the closing of the opening, or however we put that.
Okay,
So I'm going to look for it. Do I do it before the pledge?
we'll do the pledge and then consent to the agenda and then the statement.
Okay, and in the meantime, I can find the statement. Okay. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do I have a consent to the agenda?
I consent to the agenda.
Okay, thank you. If you'll bear with me just one moment, David sent me the script for that. I don't have that committed to memory. And I will find it here shortly.
You could appoint me to read it, I think.
Oh, can I?
I don't see why not.
Okay, then let's do that.
I'll just say to everybody, there is this very language, a form with signed by the presiding officer, which is our president, Linda Penoyer. Okay, so I'll proceed. At the May 25th, 2021 regular board work session, the meeting was closed to the public in accordance with the procedures found in the General Provisions Article 3-305B of the Maryland Code. The topics and purposes of this closed meeting was to discuss and set staff salaries for the FY22 town operating budget. The specific statutory authority to close the session is found in the General Provisions Article, Section 3-305, subsection B, paragraph 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction. Any other personal matter that affects one or more specific individuals. Board members present for the discussion: President Linda Penoyer, Commissioner Sarah Franklin, and Commissioner Janice Duckett. Persons included for a portion of the closed session: Town Administrator Kyle Snyder, UMPD Chief David Burse, Public Works Superintendent Darnell Bond, and Director of Finance William Morgan.
Okay, thank you, David. With that closes the last meeting officially. And now we are reopening today's meeting. May I have a consent to the, we did that, to the agenda. Approval of the May 11th, 2021 regular town meeting minutes. Approval of the May 18th, 2021 extra board work session. Approval of the May 25th, 2021 regular board work session minutes, and the financial report, and approval for the treasurer's report as of May 30th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I motion we approve the minutes from our May town meetings and our May finance report and treasurer's report.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All ayes, so noted.
Okay, we will move on to the reports. Starting with Chief Bruce with Public Safety. Do we have Chief? There he is.
Yep. Good afternoon, everybody. For the month of May, we had one traffic complaint. We had one domestic call, 3 house alarm calls, 4 vehicle accidents. We had one actual, it was classified as a holdup alarm, but it was an accidental alarm that the business set off accidentally. We had 2 actual business alarms that went off, 5 check on the welfare, 3 suspicious person calls, 1 theft from auto call, 1 family dispute, 1 miscellaneous report. We had 2 reports of break-ins, but they were actually not break-in reports. That's what the residents said, but it actually did not occur. We had 9 disorderly calls, which are generally our homeless individuals various times throughout the month are loitering on people's property or something like that. So those are mainly our disorderly calls for the month. The general stuff that we've done over the last month, I've attended all of the meetings, the chiefs meetings with the state police, the Maryland chiefs. I actually participated in the schoolhouse pond cleanup that we had at the beginning of the month. Participated in the PG Chiefs Memorial Service, which was a service the week of May 9th through the 15th is Police Memorial Week. So I had the honor of reading some of the names of the individuals that had passed away in the line of duty. So we were able to do that with COVID restrictions. We actually created a new code compliance report. So if any residents happen to get a notice that's a carbon type copy, that's our new code compliance form that we created last month, and we've actually used it several times already. The state's attorney's office had a carjacking press conference that I participated in at the courthouse. Myself and Code Officer Stewart and Department of Works, Public Works staff actually conducted an abatement on a residential property that we were having an issue with. I participated in a avoiding media firestorm crisis communications training course that was very good, helped with communicating when we have issues or concerns throughout the town. Myself and Town Administrator Snyder, we participated in a virtual meeting with our new parking vendor, trying to get that up and running full speed, as well as in the last day of May, myself, the mayor, and Mr. Snyder and Mr. Bond participated in a Memorial Day wreath laying at the town hall, and happened to have a family come out and memorialize their family member at the schoolhouse pond. So pretty busy month. So with that, if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Oh, that's the report. But we actually had, it says parking citations 75. We actually had 105 moving violations. And we issued 11 code letters for different violations throughout the town. So that's a very significant number in a while for us having those type of violations. What I would like to bring to everybody's attention is the fact that we can report that the town is able to allow, or not report, that we can say that the Prince George's County Police Department has changed and added a way to actually put a call for service into the database via email. So you can go to 911.mypgc.us, and the form that you see on your screen right now is what will come up. And if you go to any one of those where it says disturbance, flooding inside, stuck in the elevator, suspicious persons, theft or attempt, vandalism, you click on one of those items, and it takes you right to the form and you can fill it out. And that will go and it will be recorded and actually have officers dispatched. So you can either call the non-emergency number or you can actually fill out this form yourself. All the instructions are right there for your convenience. And again, it is 911.mypgc.us. So that is a new format platform for residents to use. Like I said, everything is there for you to fill out and it's self-explanatory. So with that, does anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you very
Got a
much.
thumbs up.
Yeah, that's
There
super
was a
great.
thumbs up.
Right.
I actually use that myself just recently. It takes all of just a few minutes to do. And it is done, all the information is put forth, and it becomes a matter of record. It saves you from sitting on that call forever when you're going through that call. So this is a big help for us.
Thank you, Chief. That was awesome. Thank you for providing this to all the citizens. This is so helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Chief before we move on to Mr. Bond and the, no questions? Okay, we will go to Public Works report with Mr. Bond.
Good evening, everyone. As far as things Public Works related, for the month of May, crews assisted with setup and breakdown of the pop-up vaccination clinic. I personally met with Mr. Daniel of Green Tree for a proposal on the clearing of the town Spring Branch Drive property. Crews Assistant Sergeant Irby with traffic control for an accident and a downed tree limb on power line. And due to the pending reopening of Town Hall, cleaning crews went back to twice per week service. Maintenance and beautification, we continued litter patrols in high traffic areas. As Chief just stated, myself, Chief, the mayor, and some of our beautiful residents executed a pond cleanup on May 1st. We also took care of an abatement on Spring Branch Drive. We continued spring site fertilizing for the town maintained properties. Solar panels were installed on Town Hall. The monument and Town Hall had flowers planted and mulched. The patio area for the patio area and World War II Memorial at Town Hall were pressure washed. Streets and sidewalks, service request for sinkhole on Water Street was created. As some of you may have saw, they patched it a couple of times and it seems to still be opening up. So we're doing our best to try to have them sort of stop patching and actually create a fix for it. And the Church Street and a request for service for the sinkhole on Church Street was completed. And we actually had to go back out on a separate occasion. Refuse accumulations for bulk day were 5.31 tons. Accumulations for yard waste collections were 3.85 tons, and we had one dump body rental for the month. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Darnell, I just have a question about the Water Street sinkhole. Is that at the intersection of Main Street?
No, that one it's closer to the sort of pedestrian island that was created near the intersection of Water and Church Street.
Okay, thank you. I just, because you know that where I'm thinking about, right at the intersection where it kind of goes down there.
Yep, and I've actually talked to MDOT and WSSC, and they're supposed to be inspecting it, but to my knowledge, as of yet, they haven't found anything concerning.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Bond? Thank you. And we will move to finance. Mr. Morgan?
Good evening, everyone. So looking at the revenues for the month of May 2021, the town has brought in roughly about 11,000 for strictly just only parking meters. We did bring in a little bit more added in from parking fines and violations as well. So we're starting to see a small increase in that area now that there's a little bit more of traffic in the downtown area. We also received $4,200 for highway user revenue, and we're still seeing a great collection rate with earned income taxes. We received $47,000 for the month of May. So we continue to surpass what we budgeted for in that area. The town hasn't seen over $300,000 in earned income taxes since about 2015. So we're still doing pretty well there. On the expense side, the normal things as far as professional services or consultants, or those are the types of contracts that we budgeted for, that we've been making sure that we're paying our monthly utilities or obligations that that we are obligated to pay on a monthly basis. We did have some small expenses in the historical committees budget line item and in the CERT line item, very small. I think roughly about $100 for both as well. And we know there has been many traction in those areas due to a lot of things. We did continue to upgrade the new vehicle that we purchased with the electric vehicle. So we had to purchase some new decals and outfitting of that. So that was an expense in that area for general government as well. And of course, the Public Works Department is increasing some of their expenses, but more so for landscaping and beautification as well. So there has been some expenses due to I'm not sure how to say that word or the business name, but more more often they are going to Home Depot to purchase that equipment as well. The balance sheet, the town of Upper Marlboro, one of the things that the residents and a lot of people always speak about is the reserve account. It's not where it used to be, but right now we have roughly about a little bit over $300,000 in a reserve account, and we're working on a balance sheet of roughly about $473,000 as well. And I won't speak a lot because I know I'll be speaking a lot today and talk about the budget as well. I just wanted to let everyone know that we have a pretty sizable and business directory to go off of. There's been some hard work put into that. Roughly over potentially about 150 businesses that we believe that we'll send out business license mailings or certifications to, notices for them individuals to pay for the annual business license. So that's going to be something new, or potentially we'll be able to see some good revenue from within the new year. But those notices are going to be going out within the next week or so to the businesses that we have on file. So, and you'll hear a little bit more from me about the budgets of this year and next year. But that's in a nutshell what's going on in the financial world for the month of May. There's a lot of things upcoming. We've been talking about the audit, preparing to make sure that we hit the ground running with the audit. Been ongoing with our human resource service or consultants as well. We actually have an upcoming meeting with the department heads and working on the policies. So we've been doing a lot, trying to get ready for the new fiscal year, July 1, because it's swiftly approaching. And I don't have anything else to say unless there's any questions you have for me.
Any questions or comments for Will? Hearing none. Thank you, Will. And I know we will be hearing from you later. Anything from the clerk's office, David?
Since I won't be here in July, I just wanted to announce that we have successfully got our Banner Town designation for the year. And that was a tight one because COVID caused a lot of problems with all the requirements. So kudos to the town. And I think that's all I have to report at this time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dave, for all your work making that happen.
Oh, you're welcome, Commissioner.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, moving on, our first committee report is Greenwell Consulting.
Yep. All right. Good evening, Commissioner.
Hello, Jacob. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing? I just want to give you all a quick update on some of our past and current legislative and mainly budget initiatives. So first off, the bond bill that we had secured for the town for $175,000 for the downtown Upper Marlboro project in the 2020 budget and originally the 2019 budget is finally moving out of its sort of logistical purgatory. The legislature passed a law that took effect on June 1st, which is sort of what I've been waiting to hear for the past several months, which basically removes the match requirement for this grant. So this is great news for the town because the town no longer needs to meet the $175,000 match requirement to receive these funds. Originally, we had sort of talked about, there was a way we could get an appraisal done on the property, the parking lot that was looking to be developed. But we don't have to worry about that anymore. The match requirements for 2019 and 2020 capital improvement grants has been essentially waived. So with that finally coming into effect on June 1st, our next step is going to be getting a hearing with the Board of Public Works, which could happen on June 16th. That would be the earliest. That's what, sort of our contacts at the Department of General Services is pushing for. And after the Board of Public Works approval, the $175,000 will be available to the town to start on move forward with the downtown Upper Marlboro project. And that can be either reimbursement or sort of upfront charges after we get the, signed and sealed approval from the Board of Public Works. I'll sort of send over one pager to you commissioners, and we can sort of address which way you all would like to access those funds. And then our more recent budget get the $450,000 for streetscaping that we, alongside with a lot of help from Senator Peters, got into the 2021 budget. Should be a more straightforward schedule. So the new budget will take effect on July 1st, at which point we will put together a letter from the town requesting next steps from the state. The nice thing about these funds is that they're not a traditional capital grant bond bill that we've sort of gone through with, and what we ran into issues with the 2019 grant. So it should be a more straightforward process, but that we will move forward with that in July as soon as the new budget takes effect. And as for June, that's pretty much what we're looking at. Our next steps will be to try and get this Board of Public Works meeting in for that $175,000. But I'm happy to take any other questions.
Jacob, I spoke with Sandra from the Office of Capital Projects today about the bond bill. She had some confusion about the Pocket Park lot we're buying. So I sent her a map with it. So it sounds like she's good to go on that end. But I just want to let you know because that was between when we talked today and the meeting. So
okay, yeah, no, perfect. Yeah, we were trying to get them sort of straightforward, given that the grant project had the same number, but we had changed it from the 2019 to the 2020 downtown and Pocket Park project. So that's where a lot of the confusion came in. So any other information you could get to them is certainly helpful for us at this point. So yeah, that's good news.
Does anyone have any questions for Jacob? Thank you, Jacob. I know that the bond bill has been a bit of a struggle for you, and I appreciate all the work that you've done getting that pushed along very slowly, but however we got it.
Yeah, it will be an exciting chapter to close, and on to the next one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next up is our historical committee.
Hi, this is Patty. Not a whole lot to report. We did have a quarterly on May 15th. I did send out the final agenda from the previous, or from that month, and the minutes from the previous quarter. And we're working on the current quarter minutes. We also did submit $100, I believe. And that was for the budget for the time capsule that we purchased. Other than that, we're just waiting to see when the cruise in Maine's going to be and start preparing for that. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the historical committee? Hearing none, we'll move on to the events committee.
So the events committee met last week and it was an eventful meeting. So there's quite a few things that they have going on. The Juneteenth that we're partnering with our tin on, we're going to have a tent up there with events committee the same way we normally would for a town movie night. And then we were discussing having another movie. I have that. No, that's the wrong date. So and two more movies in August on the 14th and then in September on the 11th. But we weren't sure if the board had any concerns about the 11th, we could move to the 18th. We were just trying to keep with our second Saturday theme on those movie nights. The date we had, Patty, for Cruising on Main was tentatively August 28th. And so we thought the town should maybe have either one committee booth that we all share to staff, or we could all have different ones depending on what our volunteers can do. Then we talked about the National Night Out that CSA 23 is planning to do, hopefully the first Tuesday in October, and we'll assist them. Big thing is Trunk or Treat. We're going to bring that back this year because we can, and that's going to be Saturday the 30th. So that will be going. We were talking about doing a Christmas event on December 4th. And then I think that's it. Did I get everything, Kyle?
Yes, yep, you hit all my notes I had down here for it, so. Yep, those are. And the blood drive on July 9th. If anyone wants to sign up for that.
Yeah, I just had July 9th there, but I didn't write anything next to it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And is there any questions or comments from anyone for the events committee? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to sustainable communities. Evelyn Stevens.
Sorry, here I go again. Hello, everyone. Not a lot to say. I'm still in shock about David. It didn't really hit me until he mentioned that he would not be in the July meeting. And I didn't realize how much it affected me until he actually said that he will not be here in July. So David, I want to take this time to let you, I'm in Georgia right now. Things are going up and down. So I'm hoping that I will see you soon, but in the event I don't, I want you to know that I appreciate all the work that you have done through the years, how you have helped me through the years, and I appreciate you, and I hope you won't be a stranger. With that said, the Sustainable Communities Work Group is working on a few things. The Standing Business Group, we have been meeting concerning how to get that started. We had a very productive meeting last month. The mayor and I went to the town of La Plata's business group about a week ago, right, Mayor? And it was very well organized. We got a lot of information. They're willing to help us stand the business association with any help that they can provide. They're willing to help us. So we're meeting about twice a month now because of all the things on our plate. Standing the business group, the FIP launch is going to be around the corner. Again, I have to defer to the mayor and to Kyle about the state's memorandum of understanding. I think that we have received that memorandum of understanding. I don't know whether you signed it, Mayor. Have you reviewed it? The memorandum of understanding for the FIP, the Community Legacy Grant?
I think we already did that, if I'm not mistaken.
That's, it seems like you have. I
Yes.
just want to make sure. So with that said, that allows us to go forward. So the launch will happen any day now. It's a few things that we need to review, and you'll hear from us about that. Commissioners, you'll hear from the Sustainable Communities Work Group about the launch. Also, we're preparing for FY22 Community Legacy Grant, which is a great thing. It's like back to back. So that will enable us to help the business community even more. Hopefully we'll get that grant approved so that we can continue to have funds to offer services to the business community. And with that, that's all I have to say at this time. But thank you for letting me rumble on.
I can say that if you were talking about the community legacy application, Evelyn,
Yes, that they gave us that extension, right, David?
well, we got the actual application. It's been signed on our end and has been sent back for Mr. Holt's signatures to finalize that, if that's what you were referring to.
Yes, with the FIP, yes, the facade
Yes.
improvement program, yes, thank you.
The agreement, yes.
Great, excellent.
Any questions for Sustainable Communities? Hearing none, we'll go on to the Arts Council.
Yes, the Arts Council is moving forward with the mural project. It seems like it's going pretty well. I know that they've submitted some agreements or information to the town to get the agreements reviewed by our lawyers to make sure that everything is up, is accurate. So I know that they've submitted the authorization for the mural on Main Street site, and as well as a site specific design proposal, and then the mural fabrication and installment agreement for the final for artists. So they're working on that, and I'm sure Kyle has that, who's awesome with taking care of making sure that all those things are handled. And then also, I know that they're going to start an Instagram page. I don't know if that's already happened or not, an Instagram account with the Town of Upper Marlboro's logo. They want to make sure that they're able to I would say, advertise their commitment to the Arts Council by, putting their information out there. So all of the council members of that council will be introduced through their Instagram pages as well. So I think that they're also going to use the social media outlet to call artists as well, and make updates on a regular basis. So that's what's going on with the mural project. But in addition to that, they're also talking about an event, and I believe that's in September. Kyle, you can correct me if that's incorrect. And it's a really pretty much, I would say it's more of a jazz spin If you ask me, what do you say, Kyle, on that? I think it's kind of like a jazz type, all day outside family event affair. It sounds like it's going to be really fun. It's something for everyone to do and involve the entire family. So they were thinking of a name. It's going to be called the Tree. What
Happy
is that,
Leaf
Kyle?
Fest-
The Tree.
Happy
Can
Leaf
you help me out
Festival?
with that?
Is that the Happy Leaf
Okay.
Festival, Commissioner?
Oh yeah, the
For
Happy
fall?
Leaf
Yeah, they're trying to,
Festival.
yeah,
Yeah,
on Main Street.
yeah. So I thought that was catchy.
Right
So
neck of
they're
the woods.
excited about that. What did you say, Mr. Dave?
Woods. It was in the right neck of the woods.
Right, right. So it sounds like it's going to be really fun. That's something that they're working on right now as well, in addition to that mural project. So they have some really robust plans going on for the Arts Council, and I'm just excited to see what it all unfolds. So Kyle, if I missed anything there, please just come behind me and
Now you got
tighten
it
it up.
all. I don't think they picked a date yet for the Happy Leaf Festival. But that would be on Main Street and close Main Street. But yeah, I think you hit them all, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you so much.
The
That's all
Instagram
I
account
have.
is not up yet, though. We're working
Oh,
on it
it's not.
now. I'm working with Cheryl because it's going to go through be attached to the town email address that they have. So I'm trying to help with her to get access to it and all that. But we should have that up and running this week.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the Arts Council at this point? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to the Green Team.
So the Green Team is scheduling its next meeting for next week. So we'll have a report next time in July. Unless Kyle has anything going on.
We met with the church about the
Oh,
community
you're right.
garden.
We did. That's I forgot about that. Yeah, so we did. We met with the church about the community garden and took a soil sample, sent that off, talked about how to structure it and whether to plant this year or not. All that's still getting worked out. And they're going to put a call out for their membership for more Green Team members to work on the community garden. The idea is that it will be a place for the community to come together and work together, and also for us to use the food to serve the community. So.
Okay, anything or any questions for the Green Team at this time? Okay, hearing none, we will go on to CERT.
Yes, I will report on CERT. For the month of May, they had a total of 283 volunteer hours. That is combined from meetings, events, outreach hours, and volunteer hours. So they actually met on May 8th, and they have another meeting coming up this month on June 12th, if anybody wants to attend. And that's it.
Okay. Do we have anyone here from the fire department?
We do not, Mayor.
Okay, I think we got everybody. On to the commissioners' reports. Commissioner Duckett.
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Franklin.
I just have one thing from the Memorial Day event. So we have the World War II Memorial at the town hall. And then we have a family put in a memorial at the pond. And it kind of creates a split for what, we have one war here and one war here and some people here and some people over there. And I think that the town really should look at doing a memorial for all of its veterans. Well, I guess all of the people who we memorialize on Memorial Day who were lost in foreign wars or wars in general. And I think it would be worthwhile to try to locate everyone. Because I don't know if the two people on the towns are all of our people that we should be memorializing from World War II or not. And I know the one at the pond is Vietnam. But I think the family really kind of felt like it would be that they wanted something at the town hall as well. And I think we should, I think all of our veterans and all of our residents would appreciate seeing that we are honoring those that we lost in kind of one location. So I know Kyle has talked about trails before, and we have the playground going in. And so maybe in all of that, we can look at doing something that honors everyone.
Okay.
Mentioned once before about the Maryland Veterans Commission.
Okay.
And when I told them that we were renovating the town hall, which the entirety of the town hall is the memorial.
Okay.
Little plaque. So the building itself is memorial.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, the designation doesn't just go to the stone out front.
Mm-hmm.
That was a different thing, I believe. But it just contributed to leading to the building being a war memorial. But the commission, I approached them about that we had renovated the building, and they said, well, maybe you want to do a rededication ceremony. And just don't do it on Veterans Day or Memorial Day. And they'd be glad to help. That was the first bit of advice, was you won't get enough people on those holidays.
Mm-hmm.
It could generate a great deal of interest, given that Andrews, Joint Base Andrews is so close.
Yeah.
There's a lot of military people, and I'm sure they could be the best help for locating records of military people who lived in the town, or
Yeah.
even the areas that we hope to annex.
Yeah, and then we could rededicate it and just get everyone in.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. I like that idea. What do the other commissioners think?
I think it will be a work in progress for a little while.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We can't snap our fingers and make it happen, I guess.
I know that the family that I spoke with on Memorial Day said that as far as they know, he is the only town resident that perished in Vietnam.
Mhm.
That information is accessible. It's just not as easily accessible as we would like it to be. So
Right.
It take a little while, but I do understand, and hopefully we can get something together before next Memorial Day.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a raised hand there
I'm sorry, I can't.
from.
So Joe or Clay,
Hi, Joe.
I don't know if this is significant, but they would not have officially been town residents who died. But once the annexations happen, and then there is more area that is covered by the towns, we may end up picking up areas that people came from who lost their life in wars.
That's true as well.
I think as we think about it, we can maybe do something that allows us to add to it. Does that make sense? Do others do that?
Like I said, it will be a work in progress for a while. We have a lot of things to consider and a lot of ways that which we can do that. And we can combine them together, or we can, decide which way to go on different ones. I know the family did want to have something at the town hall for him, because they were definitely adamant about that. So we are working on that as we speak. Again, it's a work in progress. Okay, right now, other than the fact that I attended I was invited to and attended a fundraiser for Mr. Mel Franklin just prior to coming to this event. Unfortunately, I had to leave for this before he arrived. So I will catch up with him, and I promise his people promised he would give me a call. So I will get together with him at a later date. Now, moving along on the agenda, we are now up to business. Okay. The first item of business is budget amendments. Ordinance 2021-02, FY 2021 budget amendment. This is for a board vote. This is the town every year adjusts its budget at the end of the fiscal year to ensure it's balanced. This ordinance is up for a vote. So do I have any questions or comments before we take the vote?
Maybe I need to read the second reading.
Okay.
It's short. Ordinance 2021-02, session regular town meeting dated May 11th, 2021. And the date enacted, that will be tonight's, if it's a favorable vote, that will be the date, June 8th, 2021. An ordinance relating to adopting and approving budget amendments for the fiscal year 2021 budget.
Any questions? Do I have a motion?
I motion that we approve ordinance 2021-02, an ordinance relating to adopting and approving budget amendments for fiscal year 2021 budget.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All ayes so noted.
Okay. Next is ordinance 2021-03, FY 2022 town operating budget. It is a board vote. Do I have any question, or I'm sorry, can you, David, would you read that, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Board of Commissioners for the Town of Upper Marlboro, Ordinance 2021-03, session regular town meeting, introduced May 11th, 2021, date enacted, will be written in June 8th, 2021. An ordinance relating to adopting and approving the budget for the fiscal year 2022, along with the corresponding tax levies, and set forth compensation for employees and officers, and to establish certain procedures for reviewing and amending same as more particularly set forth herein.
Do I have any questions or comments?
We do have a presentation by Mr. Morgan, Mayor. I don't know if you wanted to let him go. And answer.
Let him go first.
Okay.
Righty, good evening again. So let me make sure I'm looking at what you're looking at, Kyle. Sorry. Okay. Kyle, do you just have the slides up, right? You're just showing the slides?
Yeah, I just have the slides.
Okay.
If you need anything else, I can pull anything else up you need.
Okay, so we'll be discussing the fiscal year 2022 annual budget that we are proposing to the board to approve. Kyle, you go to the next slide. The fiscal year begins on July 1 and ends on June 30. And a few things that we June 30th of 2022. A few things that we try to work on as we create a new budget each fiscal year for the town of Upper Marlboro is, we always look at the previous 3 years, if we have to go that far, but typically we try to look at the last 3 years of audited financials. We look at some future projected increases and or decreases depending on what's going on within the landscape within the town, whether it's annexation, or whether it's businesses opening and or closing, whether it's infrastructure improvements that we know that we need to have, and or project that out and see how we can best attain those things. And one of the things that we did this year was try to break out specific restricted funds or fund, or not necessarily restricted, but fund accounts for specific categories that we thought were important to the town residents, and of course important to the town and their, how they operate. Next slide, Kyle. So the things that are very important on the revenue side within this budget is really has been normal in the past from year to year. Our enforcement, as far as business licenses and or permits and parking meters and parking fines, that has brought in a good amount of revenue over the last previous years. We have grants as well that funds our budget, more so specifically within the grant fund. But we have community open space. We're going to have our police state aid, streetscape grant that is fairly new this year. And again, we've been able to get approved for the business facade improvement, or FIP grant, as most know it as, which we did not have in FY 2021 because you can only apply for that biannually. So we also have intergovernmental, so that's our highway user revenue fee, financial corp tax, and disposal fee rate, and of course taxes, which is in a big portion of our revenue that we collect within the fiscal year. We have that as far as our four taxing classifications, as the commercial and or residential real property taxes, earned income taxes, and personal property taxes, which of course can be jumbled in there with public utility taxes as well. Kyle, you go to the next slide. So we're budgeting or proposing that we budget for the FY 2022 income budget that our fines, licenses, and the permits categories be budgeted at $240,869. Intergovernmental, $38,620. Other items or miscellaneous items at $7,250, and taxes at $1,417,793 for a total revenue to be proposed to be collected at $1,704,532. How you go to the next slide? As I mentioned, enforcement, a few areas of enforcement is not only on parking. We also have the new set rates for our business license certifications. It's going to be different this year as far as the biannual registration, and the fee is different as well. As I mentioned earlier in this meeting, we have an updated business registry, so we think that's going to bring in quite a bit of revenue in that area, and most certainly because of the COVID-19 effects, how we decreased the fee within this FY 2021. And I think a good amount of businesses, or some businesses, were either out of business or went out of business, or they weren't in their storefront. So a few things have happened in that area that we think will begin to see some more receivables in the enforcement area. Kyle, you go to the next slide. So government funding, a good amount of this money is restricted on the grant side, but we have our community open space grant. That's for $100,000. This is a grant that you may have seen in the FY 2021 budget. Just recently, we approved the FY 2021 amendment, or year-end adjustment. We backed that $100,000 out. We're going to move that forward to FY 2022 because we believe that this is going to be a fiscal year where we're going to be able to complete and finish that project. That specific grant also has a $30,000 matching portion to it that the town is going to fund through its operating revenues. Police state aid, it was a slight decrease from the previous year, but right now we're approved to get $16,400. And again, those intergovernmental items such as financial corporation taxes, highway user fee revenue, and disposal fee rate has not changed from the previous year. Kyle, you go to the next slide. Taxes is obviously a discussion that we've been talking about for some time. This budget that we're proposing is going to change the taxing rates for the four taxing classifications. We also mentioned in previous meetings that we're going to try to propose and or continue this on as far as a step increase over the next few years. Ordinance 2021-03, we will set the rates, the taxing rates for the fiscal year of FY 2022. The residential rate is going to be set at 30 cents per $100 of assessed value. The commercial rate will be set at 54 cents per $100 of the assessed value. and the public utility tax rate will increase from 0.75 to 1.50%, and personal property had a slight increase as well. So those are going to be the taxing rates for all of the taxing classifications once or if this proposed budget is approved by the board. Kyle, you go to the next slide. As I mentioned, taxes is a big portion of the revenue that the town brings in. With the increases, here's pretty much a slide that shows the increases that we propose that we'll receive because of the increases. The town's proposed or FY 2022 budgeted numbers are in green, and the current year that we're in, which is FY 2021, is in that lighter sky blue color. So earned income taxes, as you can see, we brought in this current fiscal year a little bit over $395,000. However, one of the things that I mentioned previously is that the town has never had, well, in the most recent year, years have not received over $300,000 in earned income taxes. So this was the first year in about 5 to 6 years that we did. So we're going to play that area a little conservative because we're not really sure on, last year we may have gotten about 225,000, and next thing you know, we're pretty much not doubled that, but we went up a sizable amount. So we're going to play that on a safe way. So anything we get additional is just going to be extra gravy on top of the earned income taxes. Public utilities, of course, that's very sizable depending on their assessment values of those public utility companies. Personal property, we didn't increase it as much as we collected this year because in past years, again, we did not receive a quite amount of money. So we hope that we can, if we get over 35,000, then that's great. If we come close to that number, I believe that's great as well. And again, these are just estimates and projections. And then on the commercial and residential side as well, you'll see what the increases were based off of what the proposed tax rates will be as well. Kyle, you can go to the next slide. So that was everything that we spoke about on the revenue side. And now we're just going to talk about our normal expenses that we incur on a monthly basis or seasonal basis. But you have your salaries and wages and benefits for departmental. We have our contractors and consultants that we deal with. Then you have your other departments such as public safety and its public works and the duties that they do on a day-to-day basis. We have capital improvement that's going to be some form of expense and hoping and projecting that we can get there. And then, of course, we have our committees that we also fund so that we can do things within the community as well. Kyle, you can go to the next slide. The expense totals are proposed expense FY 2022 totals are for general government, $868,029. For public safety is $465,395. And for public works is $341,108, bringing a total expense budget for FY 2022 at $1,674,532. Sorry. Kyle, you go to the next slide. Our expenditures, so total salaries, we're asking for approval of $884,000, $884,399. We do have some vacancies here in certain departments as well that we are looking to potentially hire, but we're not, I don't know when those hirings are going to happen. I'll just say that. So we do have some vacancies right now that the town may be looking to fill in the near future. For our benefits and insurances, we did have a slight increase in workers' comp and our medical insurance as well. So those are some slight increases on a month-to-month basis. For our contractors and consultants, there aren't, as of right now, any new contractors and or consultants that we have obligations or agreements with. So that should be a set number. Of course, we have to maintain our fleet of vehicles. So we have about $22,000 that we're projected to, I guess, spend in that area. In our refuse collection, as far as waste and debris, we have totaling with $54,558. You can go to the next slide. The committees and review, I know this is something that's important to the town of Upper Marlboro. So we wanted to make sure that we just speak about how we broke down this. So we have the events committee at $5,000. However, there are some events that we know that the town kind of partners, not partner, but they do it in conjunction, I would say. And there are a few events such as Marlboro Day or Trunk or Treat that we knew had a little bit more higher expenses than some of the other events that may be put on. And then you have your historical committee. your CERT, Arts Council, and the Green Team. And these are the numbers for the committees that we're budgeting for FY 2022. You can go to the next slide. Okay. So what this graph just shows is our expenditures for the FY. I apologize, I should say FY 2022. But this is the graph or the breakdown of how we will allocate our expenses. As you can see, the 47%, of course, will be salaries, but that is very, very normal for any local government and or business or corporation. That salaries and benefits and those types of things are normally up there as far as the percentage of that business or operations expense budget. We are going to put some money into, of course, capital improvement, as we mentioned. We have our grants there, and that's a little bit of something I'll speak on within the next slide. But this is a graph that details all of the percentages of our expense budget. So I mentioned that we wanted to break out some of the important categories within the funds within our account. So we did break out the committees. So we will have pretty much a transfer or proposing a transfer from some of the collection of the operating monies that we bring in specifically to a committee fund to fund that. And that's roughly it's $17,750 that we're going to budget for within the next fiscal year. Capital improvement, Kyle has been going over many of the plans and the projects over the next year, 5 or 10 years. And we're budgeting $66,000 for capital improvement and hopes to potentially do some other things with the American Rescue Plan money that we receive as well. Grants, we're budgeting, we're going to bring in $186,400. As I mentioned previously, we have a $30,000 matching requirement on a grant. So when you look on the expense side, that's why that does not balance. That $216,000 is with the additional $30,000 included in it. The American Rescue Plan money, this is something that we're participating on getting potentially later this month or early July. It's going to be restricted in its use. It can't be used for pensions, but it most certainly will be used for community things that's going to be invested back into the community. So we think that's going to help a little bit with our capital improvement plan and the replenishing of the reserve. You know, we had some monies in this category to try to put back into the reserve account. That's not to say that that won't change depending on how the fiscal year goes. We wanted to make sure that we put something there so that the town knows that we're going to do our best to replenish the reserve as much as we can for a rainy day. Kyle, you move to the next slide. As I mentioned, the American Rescue Plan is going to offer some relief in some areas, whether it's for the business community, for the homeowners, the renters, and or capital improvement. It has its eligible uses of what you can use them for. And I highlighted there in this area on that slide. I mentioned it already that it cannot be used for any pension assistance. Now, our pension isn't underfunded, but they wanted to make sure that that was a pivotal point to make for local municipalities. The town is earmarked and allocated, approved to get $562,492. And again, that's going to come in 2 separate deposits. So we believe that the first deposit again will come in within the next 30 days. And then 12 months after that, the town should receive the second deposit as well. And Kyle, you go to the next slide. And as I mentioned, some of the projected projects that we have for capital improvement is improving the department fleet, more so on the public works side. We are looking at providing some grant monies or some monies to the Marlboro Volunteer Fire Department. We have that estimated at $30,000. As I mentioned, the grant continuation, that grant is a grant, but it also is for some form of improvement to the community as well. So I wanted to put this project here. We have a recycling program that we're looking to do as well. I know that trash and debris is a big thing across the country right now, but a recycling program is very pivotal for each community. And facade improvement, something that, again, the town did not do in the previous years, but we know that we have a lot of small businesses that appreciate this facade improvement grant and program that the town is able to offer. So we think that the ARP money or the American Rescue Plan money might be further some of the assistance on the business side as well. So with that being said, I'm sorry I probably talked too much, but I don't have anything else to say with this presentation. If you have any questions, I'm open to accepting them, of course.
Are there any questions for Will?
Yes, Joe or Clay, Old Marlboro Pike. you had, I think it was 800 some thousand for salaries.
Yes.
And you said that 180,000 of that, there was 180,000 for vacancies. Is that 180 of the 800,000 is vacant? Or is it an additional 180 on
Oh, no.
top?
No,
Yeah.
that 180 is included in that $800,000 number.
Okay, thank you.
This is Patty. I just have to question why we're estimating budgeting for the fire department for 30,000 when we've been barely eking through and we're considering raising taxes.
Well, I think that figure for the fire department is only 15,000. I think there's some other contributions lumped in there for the food bank and then the business grant as well, I think, Will. It reflects on the budget but to answer Patty's question, that's actually coming out of the American Recovery Act fund to fund nonprofits. So that's not coming out of the town general account. That's coming from the federal money to assist nonprofits responding to the pandemics, and then also the business community as well. So that's 15 to the fire department. I think 10,000 to the the food bank, and then the rest of that I think is for a business incentive, a future business incentive program.
You're right, Kyle. That number is from the American Rescue Plan money as well as the recycling program monies as well. I apologize for, I guess, co-mingling the two as far as the capital improvement and American Rescue money, but I just wanted to outline some of the projects that we thought were very important to use with the monies that we may have for grants and or with the money that we're receiving from the federal government.
All right, thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Any other questions? Hearing none. I believe we are ready to vote. May I have a motion, please?
Sorry. I motion that we approve ordinance 2021-03, adopting and approving the budget for fiscal year 2022.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All ayes so noted.
Okay, moving on. Our next ordinance is ordinance 2021-04. Personnel standards. David, if you would, please.
Board of Commissioners for the Town of Upper Marlboro, ordinance 2021-04, session regular town meeting, introduced May 11th, 2021, date enacted, if passed tonight, will be June 8th, 2021. An ordinance to amend ordinance 2020-03 to reestablish and change certain aspects of a personnel system with certain guidelines, pay grades, salaries, standards, and procedures for the employees of the town of Upper Marlboro.
Okay, do I have any questions?
If I could jump in real quick, Mayor,
ahead.
about the two amendments. So these two amendments are not in the current ordinance. One was sent by our town attorney recently. It's additional language regarding, after he did some further research after reviewing our ordinance, there was some, in other municipalities, there was this language about the Anti-Hatch Act for the federal and state laws. So that's pretty much about municipal employees engaging in political activities while they're on the clock. So he recommended this language be added in there. And then also there was a change, there was an error with the pay grade for the director of finance. So if the board finds these two amendments favorable, when they make the motion, just say we're approving ordinance 2021-04 with the two amendments. we can go. But I apologize for that last minute addition to that, but I can take any questions on the amendments and the section where the Hatch Act is going. Dave and I are going to confirm that with the town attorney, because we are also, he sent that by email, separated, not in a Word document. So we'll just confirm it. It'll be in the appropriate section when it's added in after the board vote.
Oh, I think it's section 5.
Yeah, I think it's section 5A, and there's the current language would be like section B. But we'll confirm that with him, but that's.
So this would just be added, like, so it would be A, B, C, D.
Correct.
And that's just to comply with.
Yeah, to comply, and then it just seemed best practice that a couple other municipalities he just double checked with on had this language in there, so he just recommended it be in there as well. Staring at the wrong screen.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I motion we approve ordinance 2021-04 regarding personnel systems guidelines, take rate, salaries, standards, and procedures.
As amended.
As amended. Thank you, Dave.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Duckett?
Oh, I said aye.
And my vote is nay.
Oh. I need a, Commissioner Franklin, you were muted. I didn't hear your
Oh, I said aye.
aye. And Mayor Penoyer?
Nay.
So noted. Yay, one nay.
Okay, moving on to resolution 2021-16. This is to authorize the declaration of emergency 2021-02. Kyle, if you would explain that just a little bit.
Absolutely, Mayor. So this is an extension of the current emergency declaration going on. We've extended it a couple times, and we're asking the board to extend it once more through September because the state and county remain under a state of emergency. So just best practices, we should as well. We talked a little bit about the board at the board meeting, what this encompasses, but pretty much it allows the town administrator to put a plan together for reopening town hall, and also allows authorization for the reopening plan to include the room rentals as well, but not the full facility, just partial room rentals. So we'll be discussing a bit about that at the June work session. It also eliminates the reserved parking on Main Street now that restaurants are at full capacity, the courthouse is fully reopened, and we're starting to see Main Street crowd out, and we're going to need those spaces back again. So it removes that. But for the most part, those are the only big items. Everything else is pretty much the same. It just extends it through September unless the board ends it sooner. But I can take any questions.
And I can read the intro resolution.
Yes.
Okay. Excuse me. The Town of Upper Marlboro, Maryland Joint Declaration of a Local State of Emergency. Town Emergency Order Number DOE 2021-02 and Resolution Number 2021-16 Res of the Town Board of Commissioners of the Town of Upper Marlboro, extending the local state of emergency initially issued on March 25th, 2020 through September 30th, 2021.
Do I have a motion?
Dave, just get me if I do it wrong, okay? I motion we approve resolution 2021 regarding the joint declaration of state of emergency.
And reference the resolution number 2021-16.
With in reference to resolution 2021-16.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Got
all
that?
ayes?
All ayes.
So noted.
Okay, next is resolution 2021-17 to authorize circuit manager program application. It's a board vote. And if Kyle, if you could go ahead and explain this so that everyone understands what this is for and why we need it.
Absolutely, Mayor. So this is a partnership with the town of Morningside to apply for the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development's Circuit Rider Manager Program. This is a program that provides administrative support to municipalities under populations of 5,000 or less. Both us and Morningside are well under that number. The town of Upper Marlboro would be using it as a grant administrator primarily, and then also special projects kind of as needed. So this person would work with the different department heads and work with Public Works on different grants and stuff that Darnell may need, and like stormwater management, green infrastructure, work with chief on the different police grants that we can get as well. And then just work with myself with some of the recreation, the other grants we're using. In addition to applying, they'll also manage the grant. So just make sure all the paperwork's gone through, work with the department heads, work with Mr. Morgan for payments and whatnot, and then oversee the successful closeout of those grants as well. In addition to the special projects. That's what Upper Marlboro is going to be using them for. We have them for 20 hours a week. Morningside has them for 20 hours a week. Morningside will be using them as pretty much a part-time town administrator because they only have a clerk treasurer, so they don't have nearly bandwidth for it. But I think some of the grant things that they apply for here may flow over to Morningside as well to benefit Morningside. But for the program, the cost to the town would be $5,700 per budget cycle. I checked with Mr. Morgan. That figure is we do have that money in the upcoming budget if the grant is administered. So that's just the town's matching grant that goes a couple thousand to salaries. As you can see, if you go through the application, the budget's broken out and us versus Morningside. But the state bears the brunt of the cost. About $62,000 would be coming from the state for that. And the town of Upper Marlboro would be the sponsor municipality for that. So we just be overseeing the paperwork, and the person would be on the town's healthcare plan that's paid through for this as well. But I can take any questions from commissioners or the public on this.
Do we have any questions?
I sent Kyle that question. Just, is this going how it is, or are we going to add is Morningside getting us the stuff?
We're adding Morningside's items to it. So I have the items from Morningside. I just have to add it into that application, that last piece, and attach the like the letter of contribution support and their resolution as well, and send it to the state, and we'll be good to go. So right now the state's going to get a blank resolution from us. So if the commissioners, if it is approved, if you could sign it maybe by Thursday afternoon, so I can deliver it to the state. They're just up in New Carrollton, so it's not that far.
So do I have to say anything about those changes you're making when I make a motion?
No, because that's just the application. It's just an attachment. But the overall resolution's staying. You could mention with the amendments in the attachment A, the application. But the resolution and the contribution amount from the town remains the same.
Okay.
Hi, this is Patty. Small question. Is there any kind of conflict of interest having a town manager for multiple towns where there could be possible issues with going for the same grants and stuff like that. And I mean, essentially, I guess I'm asking, has the lawyer looked at it? Has Kevin looked at it and verified that there won't be issues? Because that's kind of disconcerting to think we may be going after a grant and they would, and then who would get that grant?
Absolutely. So the town attorney has looked over it. He's very familiar. Some of his other municipalities participate in this project or in this process, and it's statewide. So I think there's about 10 programs in place, probably serving about 15 municipalities throughout the state that use it, where they share the circuit manager rider. And some use them as the town administrator. Most of them seem to use them as kind of a grant support or general administrative support position. But for the thing with this is, since we're going to have primarily the grant person, and Morningside's is going to be leaning more toward the town manager and administrative side of things. The only places I see where actually I don't think there'll be many conflicts, because a lot of the grants that they'll be assisting with, such as the police grants and whatnot, those are pretty much set by municipality, like the state aid to police protection, just assisting the chief, and will need any support with that. That's pretty standard, who gets those types of funds for each municipality. But recently I haven't heard of any municipalities not getting funding for different grants, because other municipalities have got them. The state seems to have a pretty strong supply of funding right now. I know they were concerned over COVID, but the state budget came back pretty strongly.
Yeah,
But it all
usually not a lot of people apply for grants, and then it's just.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Everyone
the
applies.
clarification. I
Oh, no
appreciate
problem. Yeah, that's something we've thought out too, but since they're not primarily a grant person for Morningside, I think that'll assist. But obviously they don't have favoritism. Their primary job at Upper Marlboro is going to be grants. And then in Morningside, it's going to be assisting their one other administrative person.
Any other
Yes, I have a question. This is Evelyn Stevens. My question, Kyle, is how is this circuit manager hired? What's the hiring process? Who does the hiring? Who sets up the qualifications? Because as you're saying, you have two very distinct descriptions here for what you want this person to do and what Morningside wants the person to do. So give me a little rundown of how that is going to be affected.
Absolutely. So from my understanding, if the grant's awarded, the state will work with us both to set up clear objectives and timelines and assist with the hiring process and selection of individuals. I think they have a pool of candidates that the state uses. If I understand correctly, there's a couple retired city managers that kind of do it part-time if it's a part-time grant. And there's some other ones. I know the two Morningside does it, and someone else, the Cottage City or someone, I don't think they partner together, but they have circuit riders part-time and they're retired city managers and whatnot. So once the grant's awarded, that's when we work with the state to actually get everything set up.
Right, I understand. Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion?
Point of order for reading the introduction.
I'm sorry, I keep forgetting we didn't do that. Go right ahead.
That's okay, Madam Mayor. The Town of Upper Marlboro Resolution 2021-17, regular town meeting, date June 8th, 2021. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners for the Town of Upper Marlboro to approve an application to participate in the Maryland Town Manager Circuit Rider Grant Program, SFY 2022, through the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, DHCD.
Thank you. Now, do I have a motion?
I motion we approve resolution 2021-17 regarding participating in the Maryland Town Manager Circuit Rider Grant Program with amendments to attachment A as discussed.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All ayes, so noted.
Okay. Moving on, we have the Juneteenth proclamation. And David, would you please read the proclamation?
Yes, Madam Mayor, excuse me. That's a lot of layers on a small laptop. Okay. The Board of Commissioners for the Town of Upper Marlboro proclamation. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, declaring the slaves in Confederate territory free, paving the way for the passing of the 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States of America. And whereas word about the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was delayed some 2.5 years to June 19th, 1865, in reaching authorities and African Americans in the South and Southwestern United States. And whereas June 19th has a special meaning to African Americans and is called Juneteenth, combining the words June and 19th, and has been celebrated by the African American community for over 150 years. And now, therefore, the Board of Commissioners for the Town of Upper Marlboro proclaims Saturday, June 19th, 2021 as Juneteenth in the Town of Upper Marlboro, and urge all residents to become more aware of the significance of this celebration in African American history and in the heritage of our nation and town. In witness whereof, the Board of Town Commissioners has hereunto set their hands and caused the seal of the Town of Upper Marlboro, Maryland, to be affixed this 8th day of June, 2021. And it will be signed by Linda Penoyer, Mayor President, Sarah Franklin, Commissioner Treasurer, and Janice Duckett, Commissioner.
Okay, any questions?
So Joe Erclay, Old Marlboro Pike. As it freed the slaves in Confederate states, did it actually abolish slavery in the United States of America? Because I think there were still slaves in some of the Union states until later.
I think you're right. There are some places that it was a little bit later, but this is kind of how it's generally
We
celebrated.
pulled its template from another municipality, a little much larger than us. So
Yeah, I mean, this is generally the date that gets celebrated, even though there are some areas, you're right, that lagged more than this.
Okay, I just thought it's significant because we were not in one of the Confederate states, and so I don't know when the Maryland slaves were officially freed.
Good bit of history for us to find out.
This is Evelyn again. I kind of agree with Joe. And so has anyone done their research in reference to this proclamation and how it affects Maryland and more specifically town of Upper Marlboro?
So I think the proclamation is just acknowledging celebration that has taken place and has meaning, even though there's lots of sort of technical details around, historical details around it. So it's really recognizing a celebration that exists.
Okay, so that's what you're saying. It's just a recognition,
right,
that it existed and that you want to make some kind of
well, it's celebrated
confirmation
pretty
of
widely.
that.
Yeah, it's pretty widely celebrated.
Yes, it is.
It's widely celebrated accordingly. So, if, for example, Washington, D.C., there's Juneteenth is in April. So I'm only saying that I think this is, I appreciate the town and what you're doing, commissioners. I'm just concerned about tying it in more to specifically the town of Upper Marlboro, since you, the town, is setting up this proclamation. And yes, Brian's statement was very good too. So that's all I'm saying, is that if we could tie it in, maybe next year, tie it more into the slaves in Upper Marlboro. That makes sense.
I see what you're saying, kind of have a recognition of our own history with it to go along with it.
Exactly. Since we have a historical committee, since we have a historical committee and we're so, we view history important.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's go all the way with that, just in all of our situations, in all of our events, as much as possible.
I agree with you. I think that's an excellent idea.
Thank you.
I missed your comment, Mrs. Elville, and for some reason my computer, the sound went out. But could you? Yeah, could you repeat that
all over again?
Well, not all of it, but just that last probably maybe minute. I missed that.
All right. You know what I'm saying, Janice, is that I want to tie in more the celebration, the proclamation, with the actual events, or how the town of Marlboro is coordinated with Juneteenth celebration. Because, for example, Washington, D.C., their Juneteenth celebration is in April. So, in other words, I just don't want to have a proclamation because that's what everyone is doing. I want to have a tie-in, a buy-in with the town of Upper Marlboro. We have a historical committee, so we already know that history is important to the town. So let's really, when we do things like this, really tie it into what applies to us in the town. That makes sense, Janice, Commissioner Duckett?
Yep, I hear you.
Okay.
Can we ask, you're a member of the historical committee,
Patty,
can we ask Brian and Patty and Evelyn if you guys can work on this a little bit for next year?
Well, I'm all for it, since I opened my big mouth.
That's fine, but I'm really not liking what I've been finding, just saying.
You're not finding information, or?
No, actually, even though the state made it a law, PG County didn't agree with it. So
yeah,
it kind of was ugly. So I'm just saying it's.
Oh, it is ugly. But I think acknowledging that it was ugly is part of the healing process.
Very, very well said. I agree. We have to face the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's the only way we can move on and heal ourselves.
Yeah.
The county's Park and Planning Commission celebrates it on the 19th as well. They have a whole festival lined out, so that's the date that they celebrate. Just FYI.
That's good to know.
Thank you, guys.
Darnell made a comment. Did you see that, everyone?
Yes. So 1864. So, okay.
So are you asking for the historical committee's buy into it? Patty? Sarah?
Yeah, if you guys.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. If you guys have action items, you can give that to me, or I'll just add that onto our agenda.
Okay, great.
So we have Patty's, we have the chair's blessings on the historical committee working on that project. Sarah, you're muted.
I couldn't, my internet went wonky for a minute.
Yeah.
So I couldn't hear what you were saying. I was just saying, I think it would be good if you guys can work on that.
Yeah, I said I'd go ahead and add it to our agenda.
Okay, thank you. The weather's not our friend with the internet.
Right.
Okay, with all that being said, the proclamation as written, we are voting on today. We have a motion to accept this today, and with the caveat that we will work to do better next year.
I motion that we issue the proclamation regarding Juneteenth as written, and that we work over the next year to add more local context to this celebration.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All eyes so noted.
Thank you, Historical Committee.
And I don't want to rush anyone, but it would be possible to get like a brief write-up in the next like week or two. I don't want to push it, but when we put this out on Juneteenth, we can message out about it, explaining that even though Juneteenth celebrate on this day, these were the issues in Prince George's County and whatnot in the state of Maryland. But I don't want to rush anyone. I was just curious.
I was just wondering if Ray could do something, because it's a lot of research and you can't always find names and you can't always find information. So I don't know, can Ray do that? Something like that? Or do Brian and Patty, do you already have enough?
We don't really have anything, but I'm sure we can probably send some crib notes if that's what Kyle's asking for.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then I could work with Ray to kind of draft that. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
We'll
I'm
get
happy
you
to-
something.
He's like, what did Sarah just volunteer me for?
Yeah, come on. I'll be happy to do everything I can to help to make it happen. So, yep, count on me to do whatever we can do in the next 11 days or however long it is. We can get this done. Happy to participate, happy to help.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ray.
And then I also just wanted to highlight on the screen the Juneteenth festival that's happening, well, on the border of town, because half of Sasser Field's outside the town limits. But they're at June 19th. The town's partnered with them because we haven't hosted any events this year, and we had the budget for the boards covering the outdoor movie. So even though the festival part is paid, a paid admission with all the proceeds benefiting the Marlboro Boys and Girls Club, the movie afterwards will be free. So I just wanted to highlight that. That's going to be happening.
And just for clarification, R10 is our time is now. If you want to look them up and see what the good works they're doing.
Just where does it say that it's at Sasser Field? Because I was looking and I didn't see that.
It's at the bottom. I had to cut it off to fit it on there so you could read the.
Okay, great. All right. Because I was like, wait, where is it?
I'll drop the link in the chat for everyone.
Thanks.
Okay, there we go. Back to the agenda. Okay, we're winding down a little bit here. Kyle, legislation, projects and initiatives.
Absolutely, Mayor. So it's been an exciting month. I get to mark a lot of these as completed. I haven't been able to do that for a while. So at the top, the town vaccine pop-up, we held 2 successful pop-ups in partnership with Prince George's County and the Office of Community Relations and Emergency Management Health Department. We administered the Pfizer vaccine in May and in June. We only did a handful of people, but it's still a handful of people that didn't get vaccinated before. So that's exciting that we're able to offer that. The new town playground construction, we're going to discuss this a little bit in administrative and staff issues with the extension of their contract. But pretty much we hit a snag with DPI regarding the right of way on Old Crane Highway. They're willing to waive that. We just have to do some updated drainage drawings that the engineering firm is working with DPI on. And hopefully by the June work session, I'll have a better update for the board as that progress continues. And then we can also start talking about phase 2 at the June work session. And then also if there's anything the board wants to apply for the upcoming grant cycle that opens up it's open now, but it closes in August. So if the board has any thoughts on that, but we'll discuss that more at the June work session. Time on financial policies. I think that's going to be happening here soon as we finally got through the budget and the personnel stuff. So now we'll and myself have some breathing room to get that moving forward before the board. The town's carbon footprint study has been completed, emailed out to commissioners and staff, and we'll be posting on the town website for the public to see. But pretty much we work with Sustainable Maryland, the University of Maryland Environmental Finance Center. They did a free carbon footprint study. We sent them all of our bills and utility usage reports that we have, and they compiled them all up, and we're able to show like what departments use the most and where. And so it'll be really exciting to do this study again in a couple of years and see the impacts of the solar panels, electric vehicles, and LED lighting upgrades and stuff like that, and how that affects our footprint. So that was a free survey that they did for us, and we'll have a thank you letter for the University of Maryland student who did that for the board to sign with all legislative items. Mural grant application, Commissioner Duckett touched on this during the Arts Council report, but pretty much the RFP was out, released, and the Arts Council is reviewing the applicants now. And pretty much they're narrowing down the candidates, and they're going to have a couple artists for each site, and then they're going to pay them to come up with some concepts and drawings for the public to vote on. And we're working for the town attorney on the different sites agreements. Ronnie Hutchinson's from Rectory Lane was big help in helping getting some of those agreements to us that he's used for work. He's kind of edited them a bit and sent them over for us to provide to the town attorney. So that's a huge cost savings. Main Street Maryland affiliate, no update yet. I'm gonna be reaching out to them soon. I just want to make sure I got the circuit rider grant in and didn't bug that department too much because it's all under the same department. So once that grant's in, I'll reach back out to them, but they've been bogged down with the COVID relief funding. The handbook's been completed. And I know Mr. Morgan's gonna be working with department heads to get that out to all the employees. Well, he sends it out to the employees, but just getting the signed approval. And then we'll also be sending the commissioners the job descriptions this week. We didn't want to overwhelm you guys before the meeting. So and we can discuss that at the June work session as well. Those job descriptions have been through the department heads and insurity. So we just wanted to make sure they're as complete as possible before you guys saw them. Solar proposal for the panels. The panels have been installed. We've passed the county inspection for that. We're just waiting for Pepco to come out and either switch our meter or tell us the meter we have now is good for solar panels before they're activated. And then these other firms, so that's with Power Factor. The other firm is working with Darnell to get down to Public Works and upgrade a bunch of their lights to LED. Both these projects are together for that $25,000 grant, fully fundable grant from the state. So once we get all that done, we make the payments, we'll request reimbursement from the state and get all that money back. So that's really exciting that that's finally moving along. Church Street parking lot and pocket park update. Like Jacob said, the bond bill is going to be moving for the State Board of Public Works. Annexation. I spoke with the survey firm and they're working on it now. They should be done by the end of June, early July. And the town attorney should have enough time to have a draft resolution by the July work session for the board to discuss and then introduce it at the August town meeting. So that's moving along. Water Street Garage, this isn't moving too quickly. We've been waiting till after the budget to kind of speak with the County Revenue Authority. This is both a possible garage on Water Street where the current parking lot is now, but that just the bigger discussion, I think, is possible the town taking over parking enforcement townwide, because the revenue authority sees they don't need as many officers out in Upper Marlboro as they used to when they had more parking spots. So if we took over parking enforcement, did some sort of cost sharing or revenue sharing, that's something they're open to, because it costs money for them to have just a handful of officers in Upper Marlboro only watching a handful of parking meters where they could be elsewhere. So that'll be discussion we'll be having. We'll work with Greenwell on that before we kind of bring that to the board for more. We're just going to nail down a couple more details, but that's the gist for right now. And then the Marlboro Town HOA MOU, we do have them on the books for the July work session. So that's exciting to bring them along. And then the electric code vehicle has been completed, paid for, and we submitted the reimbursement to the state the other week. So we're just waiting for that $10,000 to come back, but it has hit the road. And those are the projects I have right now. Is there any questions or comments?
Good to see so many completed.
Yes, it's been, they've been on hold for so long.
Yes.
But then two kind of other project issues. I don't know if you're administrative staff support, but we're finally making headway with those pallets in the Western Branch. The state has fined WSSC $10,000 per day that they're in there, because they went through and they looked and they put the initial request into WSSC 2 years ago in March. So they were pretty upset that they were kind of surprised when I reached out for an update that WSSC hadn't removed them. So I feel kind of bad, not really, but so the
You can feel bad. I am over here doing a magic happy dance, okay?
So they're going to be pulling the pallets along Water Street first, and then they have the geotagged pictures from Patty and Brian going along the river. So they're going to be figuring out entry points to get those large 20 by 20 pallets, because I think the state inspector went through there and saw the images and agreed that it's disrupting the flow of the Western Branch, because these are ginormous wooden pallets in the river. So that's some progress moving along there. And then I also work with CSX. They removed the pile debris next to the railroad, even though it's outside the town limits. That came up on next door. And then we're also working with the DPW&T on the school lane drainage issues. We put a ticket in a couple months ago. And then I reached out, and apparently the inspector did come out, and they're going to be fixing. They agreed that it's their issue to fix the drain that goes under school lane in front of the Board of Education, dumps into the culverts. And they're going to be doing some work in the culverts as well. So we'll replace that pipe. But I'm still waiting them to reach back out to me. And once they do, I'll work with Mr. Bond to coordinate all that work. So hopefully that's a fix until we can actually get the school lane streetscape in place as well, with curb and gutters and rehab stormwater where we can. That's all I have.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything before we move into public comment? I have one. Go ahead.
We just have the Sparks of Play contract extension.
Oh, where did
It's not on the agenda. It's in the packet though, because it's an administrative item.
Okay.
The last page in the packet, and pretty much Sparks of Play. We initially extended the contract back in the fall, and we thought July 1st would be plenty of time. So now they're just having the timeline start from when they're actually issued the permit, which hopefully should be pretty soon.
Yeah, this one has dragged a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion to agree to extend the contract for Sparks at Play for the playground?
I motion we extend the contract for Sparks and Play for the playground as written in, what is it, a proposal number 003727-1.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All eyes so noted. And just The record that that item was an added agenda item passed when we did post the agenda. So I just wanted for the record that it was an added agenda item.
That's fine, David. It was in my head, but I wasn't aware it was going to happen tonight, but that's okay. It's done. And we're good. I do have one thing I want to say, and I know that it's been said already once. I don't know what we're going to do without you, David. This is your last official meeting. You will have the work session after this, but your last official town meeting. And I greatly thank you. I have attended many, many town meetings, and you are the constant. And I greatly appreciate it. And you remind me all the time of things that I forget. So train the new person well. And I just can't imagine walking in and not seeing your face. You will be greatly missed. And if anybody, if you have time, you do want to stop by and say goodbye to Dave. He will be leaving us at the end of the month. And again, like I said, will be greatly missed.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
And we are having a retirement celebration for Dave on Friday, the 25th of June, if any residents want to attend. I'm sure.
We can all make him cry again.
Probably even more there, but no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, thank you, Dave, for all your service. Well, thank you more.
Excuse me, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay, the last thing we have is public comment. Does anyone else want to say anything before we adjourn this meeting?
This is Patty. Hats off to Public Works for their work on that sinkhole on Church Street. They responded very quickly, and I appreciate that.
Not a problem. Thank you. I'll share the kudos with the guys.
Anyone else? Hearing nothing, I will officially call this meeting adjourned at 8:56. And hopefully it has stopped raining. I can't see out the windows, but and we can all, well, you're all home safely. I still have to get there. So everybody have a good evening.
Good night.
Good
night.
Good night.
Good night.